What's up, guys? Jeff from Alpha Dynamics. This is gonna be deep. This is gonna be fun, though. This is gonna be unscripted. We're gonna talk about a couple things. The transformation that I had, a personal transformation in my journey, developing in, self-development, social dynamics, health, fitness, a couple things added to that list. But I think really importantly, first off, I'm just gonna talk about how people can over intellectualize things, and especially if you're an introvert, okay, because I'm actually naturally an introvert. We'll talk about that more in my journey, but I have always naturally been an introvert. People find that surprising because I have a loud voice. My voice right now is really irritated. I don't know what's going on. I'm talking all the time, so I talk to literally hundreds of people a day, and so my voice can't, and I do these videos and public speaking sometimes, so my voice can get irritated, but it doesn't matter. Here to offer value, right? So no, but you're an introvert, okay? So you naturally, especially with something like social dynamics, where it's fucking scary, it is probably one of the hardest things. This is what happens with the guys at the gym, okay? The douchebag guys at the gym that are like, yeah. They're like, but they're too scared to talk to a girl, or they're only comfortable to talk to a girl at the gym because that's their niche, that's their thing. But you throw them in, or at work, the manager who is on his shit, who's always very charismatic and bossy. You throw that manager in a nightclub in LA and he'll be like, fuck, I don't know what to do. I'm not at Subway anymore. So that's situational confidence, okay? And what happens is, if you're an introvert or you're not in your comfort zone and you do want to, you're fed up with that shit, like I was, you're fed up with having every day be the same, or you're fed up with just not having what you want in many different ways, right? You're just tired of it. You just feel like there's something more that you're meant to be, you're destined for greatness, but you don't even know what to do. And then when you start hearing people like me talking on videos about some practical things that you can do, it sounds great. Then you go out and do it. This happens a lot. At least half of the guys who try to they hear about me talking about social dynamics, how to meet people, how to really get the high quality girlfriend that you always wanted, or wife, or fuck buddy, whatever you want, right? They hear me talk about it, and they expanding their options from just social circle, if they're lucky enough to have one, to actually being unlimited, to be able to be at the store and instantly see somebody you're attracted to, be witty, be able to socially calibrate, be entitled, but not attached to the outcome. All of that is piling stuff on. You're an introvert, so you're just overthinking so much that it's your behavior. There's a lag between your actions and your thoughts. They're not congruent. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about when I talk about what is a guy that's a 10, right? That remind me of that later, congruence. And I want to apologize as well for the people on Facebook. My Facebook app thing right now is not working, so I couldn't go live this time like I usually do. But we're doing this on other platforms too. You can always check out Alpha Dynamics Instagram. I'll throw my Snapchat up later as well. So over-intellectualizing this shit. How do you stop doing that? Well, it's kind of like skydiving, okay? Because people always say, I've never done skydiving, I will. But you have this animal that it is in your head, it's fear. It's like this monster. You create it, it's already been created, you've been socially conditioned to be, especially as a man. Who gets punished more socially for taking a chance? Is it a woman or is it a man? Now, you could make the argument that women do get slut-shamed if they are free sexually, which I think is horrible. I think we need to stop that. But we've made huge strides, and what's happening now is men are getting shamed quite a bit. Now, there's a lot of idiots. I see it a lot. There's this one thing that girls like to do on social media is where they take screenshots of the idiots that are trying to hit them up on whatever, Messenger, and just keep saying, hey, 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 and then get pissed at the girl and be like, oh, you're a slut, I wouldn't even, you're ugly, because you wouldn't talk to me, right? Those guys are fucking dumb. That's not what I'm talking about, though. I'm talking about the guy who summons up the fucking balls. You got to think about this if you're a girl. You got to think about how much courage does it take how hard would it be for you to initiate something with a guy? Maybe it wouldn't be hard, but that's also because as a woman, you have more social capital just at the start, even without having to display value, right? What is currency at the clubs? Bring in a couple girls, you get in. Women have more social capital at the beginning, at the start, when they're young. Okay, and then their social capital decreases as they get older, and that's why you see all the pressure coming in, like, oh, I'm turning 30 soon, I gotta start having kids, I gotta settle down. That's what happens to women, because if they cross a threshold like 35 and they haven't done that, their capital starts to really rapidly decrease. As a man, you're actually lucky that way, because your social capital will increase. You have a chance to build some wealth, to establish yourself, all of that shit. Right, but here's the thing, though. If you're in your prime and you're early to mid-20s and you're just out in a social setting and you're as a guy that girl has more social capital, and that's a fundamental problem in the way that you look at it and experience even going out and having these kind of interactions, is that you're approaching it as if she does have more social capital. But think about this. What has she done to prove to you that she has social capital? What, she was born hot? She has good genetics? She doesn't earn that. You, on the other hand, if you're watching this and you're actually taking action, you're deciding, oh, I'm going to try some of this. You're putting yourself through hell. It's emotional hell. You have this fucking monster. People don't understand. They think, oh, do the right thing and just man up and get married and settle down. Well, hold on a second. I'm not against any of that. I think it's amazing. Probably the highest paradigm is to have a amazing girlfriend that you have great chemistry with and you want to marry, and you do get married and you have kids and you have a family. But hold on, that's not where most people are coming from that are getting married. Most people are just in scarcity. It's the one person that liked them, and then they just sign up to say, you know what, we'll both get fat and lazy together, and that's that, right? And neither of us can leave. That's two different things, right? So I think we see more of the shitty version than we do the good one now, and that's why there's so many divorces. But there's another side to this, and that is you get shamed, if you don't settle down and put the player guy, he just hasn't done any. Here's the thing, though. I think there's something to be said for a guy, especially when he starts out as an introvert, which is a lot, like 90-something% of the people I've ever worked with are introverts. Because if you're an extrovert and you're popular, you don't need to learn very much. I mean, you could sharpen some skills and get a grasp of a logical understanding if you work with somebody like me. But you don't really need it, like the guy who's the introvert does, right? If you're the introvert and you develop yourself to become attractive, and then you can choose from abundance, don't let yourself be tricked into thinking that's bad, or that didn't take a lot of work and self-development and growth and persistence. And that's an admirable thing to be able to stick through something like that. Because let me tell you, most of the guys who are introverts, who have made a decision that they're going to try to improve their life, first of all, there's a lot of aspects to that. But when it comes down to the social dynamics part and meeting people, I'd say probably close to half of them make that decision, go out, try it, but don't actually ever engage. They spend the whole night walking around. Oh, there's a cute girl, I'm going to talk to her. And then they just change direction at the last second because their brain, they have this thing, the fear, like skydiving, where you're looking down at the edge of the plane, you're about to jump off, and you're like, holy shit, this is real, I might die. And your body reacts the same when you're going to approach a cute girl. It reacts as if it could be life or death. There's a reason for that. It's because when you were a caveman, your ancestors, if he saw a cave woman from another tribe, he wanted to approach her. If he did, there might be the king of the other tribe. That might be his woman. And then he sees you, get smashed with the rock. You're done. So it was life and death back in the day, and your genetics still don't understand it's not. So your body's giving you that adrenaline, all of that. and you're thinking, you're overanalyzing before, and then you're at the edge of the plane, you just, fuck it. You're down. But as soon as you jump off the edge, it's over. Your mind stops. Your mind stops overanalyzing. You are 100% in this flow state, like meditation, where it's just coming out. You don't even, you know what you're saying, but you're not thinking about it. And you can react quickly in a witty way, and it's natural. But what the problem is, most guys don't get to that, because they get to that moment where they're at the edge of the plane, they see the girl, they make eye contact, and they don't jump because it's just too daunting. And don't get me wrong, it is very daunting. It can be very painful. I can guarantee you'll have a lot of painful experiences. If you're not having painful experiences, then you're not doing this enough. You're not going out enough. You're not talking to girls that you find attractive and ones that you don't find attractive too, just to get all the reference experience in, right? So it will be painful, okay? But here's the thing. Field experience is key. This is the whole problem with overanalyzing. Okay, instead of asking me a question about, I see a girl on the phone that I like, how do I talk to her? How do I, do that? Instead of asking me, just imagining it or seeing it and not doing anything and then coming home and asking me, you should go out and try that. You should try it several times, okay? And you should try it in different situations where she's on her phone, where she's alone, where she's with her friends, all of this stuff. And then come to me and be like, hey, you know what? I went out and I tried this several times. This is what happened. Like, do you have any ideas on how to improve this, or how to, this problem I encountered, what's a better way to handle it? But the point is that we live in this culture right now where it's like instant, give me the live videos, give me all the pictures of Instagram. Let me see what anybody I want is doing at any point in time. I could just Google the answers to all my questions, and it's instant. I can order fucking food from across town and have them drive it to me instantly, no work, right? And so that's a problem, because when all this was started, in the early 2000s or something, where people really started learning more about social dynamics, psychology, attraction, there were just little forums online. There weren't even videos, and you couldn't even ask a question with people would just say, go fucking try it. And that was it. And you'd be embarrassed to ask a question if you hadn't gone out and tried it and gained some knowledge as well first. So there will be no more powerful teacher in your entire life than throwing yourself in the fire. That's the point I'm getting at. And you need to actively filter the information, okay? Because I said you are going to have some painful experiences as you do that. And you're going to have some amazing ones too that will make it well worth it. If you can power through, if you can be persistent and actively integrate all these lessons, then you'll be able to grow and have an amazing journey. But you just don't want to allow yourself to overanalyze shit, have all this fear, and then never confront it. You want to become friends with it. You want to, in a weird kind of way, enjoy the pain of, just fucking feeling like your heart's gonna pound out of its chest, doing something anyway, and then just being happy with yourself that you did it. Being happy that you talked to that girl and, maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but you learned something from it and you grew and you built a little more confidence because you overcame that part of your brain that's shutting you down, that's stifling you, that's, that social conditioning that's telling you to stay in your little box, because everybody wants to put you in a box. But you're bigger than that. You don't need to be put in that box. And you define yourself through those moments where you're confronted with fear and you make a choice about what kind of person you're going to be in that moment. Okay, so it's really big. And that doesn't mean you need to beat yourself up. There's been times where, I struggled, where I could not overcome the fear of just getting started initiating interactions, okay? And now people that, if I work with somebody, they see it, and it's hard to believe that there was a point in time where I was like that, because it seems so natural, it seems so fluid, it seems so effortless in demonstrations. But That's through massive repetition to where it's integrated subconsciously, so I don't have to think about everything that I'm doing. It's just the principles are overarching principles that I've embodied over time through massive field experience repetitions. Okay, the next thing I was going to talk about. I said I started out as an introvert. I told you a little bit about the painful stuff as I decided to just start experimenting, trying things. Massive reference experiences is really, the correct phrase for it. Where that's where you're saying, okay, what do I want? Because that's important. You have to define exactly what you want, and you need to be very specific. And you might not know yet. If you want a partner, then what is she gonna look like? What is her voice gonna be like? What kind of hobbies is she gonna have? What are her values? Does she want kids? Does she not want kids? Is she like into video games like you, or is she into nature or all this stuff? And you might not know. You might have to meet a bunch of different people and then be like, oh well, I didn't like that about this person. I did like this, so we'll keep that. And you make this thing, and it's not like you find. I mean, it depends. You might get lucky and find the exact thing you were looking for, but at least you have like a fucking idea and that you can aim for it. And that's what's important, is that you can aim for something. Because if you're just like, oh, I don't know, what am I doing? Where am I going? I don't know, it's not working. Man, I'm too scared. I won't try anything. It's not working. Just help me. That's not the right way to go about this. And then to be pessimistic, because what happens is I've had phases before I got myself into like just complete fucking destroy myself and build myself back up. Before I decided to do that, there were periods in my life where I was very pessimistic, very jaded. And what happens is the more you cut yourself off from this like infinite, expansive energy that you get, even if you're an introvert, there's a way to get more energy from interacting with people. Okay, the more you cut yourself off from that, the more pessimistic you get, the more you objectify women. So a lot of people think, oh, the guy who's trying to better himself, who's trying to work on his social dynamics, trying to learn about psychology and how to be attractive and, building a value system, that guy's a player. That guy's a piece of shit. He's not meh, right? There's a lot of that, but you don't need to buy into that shit, because that's just what the people who are too afraid to take action and change, that's what they have to say. Because if they said, oh, that guy is really busting ass, like he's really getting out there, he's really trying, he's really learning a lot of lessons and he's getting better every day. If they admit that, they're also admitting, I'm fucking up. By not doing any of those things, I'm fucking up. So what's easier? What would most people want to do? Is it easier to just meh at the other guy and then you just think you know everything, and if you could do anything you wanted, you just don't really want to, like, come on. That's way easier than actually throwing yourself in the fire, going through the pain into the transformation that comes with self-development and social dynamics, psychology and attraction. All of that shit is like chiseling away at a stone and building a shape, an ideal. And speaking of ideals, now I'm going to get into, because we could go for an hour tonight, but my voice is going to give out before my mind does. So we're going to talk about what is the ideal, what is like the 10. What is the 10 for a guy? You're a guy, you want to be a 10. So what does that look like? Well, it's interesting because you have a 10 that's a girl, and I think we have a general idea of what that would look like. That would look like very, we all have little things that we prefer as far as hair color and height and things like that. But there is a general consensus of what the 10 looks like. That's like a model or Vogue cover model or actress or a girl who is just stunning, probably thin, beautiful hair, small features, symmetrical face, all of that stuff. Okay, so we know what that is, and that's 90% based on just physical appearance. Now, that's good for them and it's shitty for them. It's good for them because that means that you don't, if you're a girl and you're born at 10, you don't have to really fucking develop yourself very much. You don't have to throw yourself in the fire that much. You can sit back and just let them come. and then sift through the ones you want and then have babies and that's it. Do you really learn a lot from that? Do you really develop yourself to your, best potential self? No. So that's why it's shitty at the same time, because it creates a lot of people that are lazy, that don't think for themselves, or don't think critically, don't have drive or goals, and just have this crazy false sense of entitlement. Okay. For a guy, on the other hand, it's more character-based traits. It's more about your behavior and the way you carry yourself. Because, again, in the caveman times, it didn't matter what the fuck you looked like. The cave woman didn't care what you looked like. She cared if you could protect her, if you could protect the loved ones, if you could provide for the family, and, if you're resourceful as well. And if you had social status, if you were a leader, if people looked to you for direction, that was a good signal as well. So character-based things now that apply to the 10, the guy that's a 10, are one, freedom from outcome, self-amusement, let's see, the most engaged yet the least giving a fuck about what happens. So if you care, this is the problem. You're approaching a girl and you don't even know her, and just from the way she looks, you're fucking dying that it's going to go well, that she's gonna like you. Why? Has she earned that? She hasn't earned that yet. So she can sense, well, I haven't earned this, but the guy is treating me in a way that makes me feel weird now, because I know I haven't earned anything, he doesn't know me. She wants to feel like she worked for you a bit. Okay, so you have the things I've listed so far. And then you also have, I said self-amusement, right? You have the social proof is another big one. You can start doing this today. So an example of social proof would be you're out in a venue, maybe it's a music event, or maybe it's a party, a house party. Okay, so maybe people don't know you there. Okay, let's say for the sake of this, nobody knows you except for one person. One girl knows you there, and you're just friends. She doesn't even like you like that. Okay, that's fine. There's a lot of other girls there. What do? You can go directly approach any of those girls that you find attractive, and if you have some behaviors down that are the right ones, it might work for you. A better strategy is to get the one girl that you do know, who's just your friend, get her, say arms, have her interlock arms with you, and then, lead her to another girl who you don't know, who you do find attractive, and then be like, my friend just wanted to tell you that she thinks that you're beautiful, you have pretty hair, whatever. Especially if they're in a group, ignore the one that you're very attracted to at first. You can do that, and then you can talk to the rest of the group. Befriend the group. A lot of people think, I just need to get her away and isolate her. Well, later. That's something you could do later. But right away, those people in her group, they have a lot more meaning to her than you. She doesn't know you. So you can't ask. That's a huge problem that happens in social dynamics. Guys are asking for too much compliance too early without having given any value. Even just coming up to a girl and being like, who are you here with? Okay, I tell people to do that. That's logistics. But you don't want to do that right at the beginning. If you walk up to a girl and you're just like, who are you here with? She doesn't even want to answer you. You haven't given her a reason to want to answer you, okay? So say something funny first, like, make her laugh. Be like, oh yeah, I ate your friends. They're in my tummy now. I'm pregnant with your friends. Anyway, who are your friends? Who are you here with, right? That's a lot better than just, who are you here with? I'm some random dude, right? So you can do that. You can build social proof by getting people, winning people over, even if it's just a quick hello, talk for 30 seconds, bounce out. Go around and do that. That's a lot better than what I see people do is walk in. They don't know anybody. They value scan. They're looking around, value scanning, and they go sit in the corner with their drink up here against their chest. This is a big one. Usually they have a beer cup and they're just like this, right? That's not good. You want to be. I would rather have somebody going around to every single group. Does that look needy? Not if you're giving value, not if you have this fun energy. You're not looking to take anything from somebody. You're just adding to the fun. You're actually building social capital and social proof that can really work in your favor later. Okay, another thing about the guy that's a 10. I said you have to know what you want, okay? But you also have to have boundaries, okay? Personal boundaries. So what does this mean? Well, there's a lot of girls will look for the guy who does not have personal boundaries, especially, well, so the really high quality girls want you to have personal boundaries. They find that attractive. An example of having a personal boundary is not dropping everything that you do just for her whenever she wants, especially at the beginning. Okay, later on, you can make some compromises. That's fine. She's earned that. Again, it's giving her more than she's earned too early. It's putting her on a pedestal before she's, worked for it. So if you feel like she is here and you're down here, then you do need to do some work on yourself. And that's where all this other stuff, that's why it's not just psychology and attraction. It's you actively working on yourself. And I'm getting into another thing of what a 10 is of a guy, and that is maximizing your looks, okay? Yeah, you were born a certain way. Fine. Shut up about it. Stop complaining about it. I think the guys that are actually the shortest are the most comfortable with themselves. It's the guys that were like 5'7", 5'8", who are almost 6 foot, 5'9". They're the ones who torture themselves because they almost met society's ideal, not quite. And so they're kind of always wishing they were just a little taller, whatever. The guys that are like short, they gotta just accept that shit. Otherwise, it's gonna destroy their whole life. But you can still maximize your looks. That is basic hygiene, okay? It's brushing your teeth every day, 3 times a day, preferably every time after you eat, okay? That's carry your fucking toothbrush with you when you go out. Have a little backpack, okay? That is smelling good, okay? So you can use, deodorant, cologne, whatever. I use like more natural stuff that is not full of chemicals and shit, especially if you're gonna use it a lot. You can go to the gym. You need to go to the gym at least 3 times a week, okay? So if you're gonna go to the gym, you gotta think this out so that you're not making it something that is so fucking hard to do that you won't continue to do it. Once you do it for a month straight, now it becomes a habit. You feel weird if you don't do it. And that's the point you'll get to. But what are some ways to make it easier for you? One way is to find a gym that is very close to your work, okay? Because you have to work, right? You probably have to work, unless you were just born into wealth. So you go to work, you bring your shit for the gym with you in your car to work. You leave it in your trunk or in your passenger seats, even better, so you see it, right? Then right after work or right before work, either you go a couple hours early to the gym before you go to work, if you're that kind of person, or if you're a night person like me, right after work, you go to the gym, you've got all your shit there, it's right next to your work, you're gonna drive past it, and if you don't stop at the gym, when you know you have your stuff there, you see it as you're driving off work, you're gonna feel kind of guilty. So these are just little things that you can do. Again, are you gonna be using this like actively as a method to attract somebody? Like, yeah, I go to the gym, look at my arms. No, you're not gonna be doing that, but you can maximize your looks, okay? I'm gonna get into 1 or 2 more things. We're gonna cut it at a half an hour just for the sake of my throat. One or 2 more things. Okay, so voice tonality. How is this important? Well, you could say, for example, I could say a sentence, okay? I could say, I didn't say you stole the cookies. Now, if I change the emphasis and say, I didn't say you stole the cookies, that means one thing. Or, I didn't say you stole the cookies, 2 things. I didn't say you stole the cookies, 3 things. I didn't say you stole the cookies, 4. You see how this is going? Each little emphasis makes it mean something different. So don't think for a second that your voice tonality and the way you say things is irrelevant. Okay, 70% of communication is not the words you're saying. It's body language and tonality and sub-communications. So that is, first of all, head up straight, relax shoulders, chest out. Okay, walk around like that. You don't walk around like this with your shoulders down. Actually, primates, if you're not the alpha and the alpha's walking by, the betas will crouch down. to actually get lower. The alpha will stand up on his 2 feet. Even a fucking monkey knows this. Stands up, loose arms, and walks around like, yeah, I'm the alpha. Okay, you don't need to over exaggerate it. Let me give an example. You don't need to be like, that's just fucking weird, right? So you're just gonna not stiff, relaxed, chest up, chin slightly up as well. Okay? Start paying attention to when other guys walk around you. What do you do with your body language? Pay attention to that. That'll tell you a lot about what you think, how you're assessing. Because we are programmed. We walk into an area where there's a lot of people. You're fucking programmed to identify who has value, how much value. And you're going to assess yourself in that automatically. Okay? So as you're doing all this shit, the number one thing is you're actively going out. You're actively, say, if you're very beginner introvert, you're talking to 3 girls a day. Takes 10, 15 minutes tops. Okay? Maybe you're too afraid or too inexperienced to feel comfortable, taking them on instant dates or asking for phone numbers right away. That's fine. Just even if you're too scared to talk to a girl you find attractive at first, talk to a chubby girl. Talk to an old lady. Ask her what the time is. These are some micro little baby steps you could start taking. But make it a conscious effort to be doing something different and a little more challenging than you did the day before. And you do that, and by the end of 6 months, you've made fucking leaps and bounds. And here's another thing. Each time that you do something, like you do approach, you celebrate the fuck out of that reward. You're reprogramming your brain to where you're fucking celebrating every small little victory. And this is a secret that people like me know about shifting your mind frame to something more positive, to where you're now filtering information in a positive way. If you're a short guy and a girl says you're too short, okay, cool, she said that. She wasn't like the right girl for you. You didn't have chemistry. You're not going to accept that as one size fits all kind of thing. You're not going to say, well, I'm too short for all girls now. I'm not going to do this. All right? You're not going to do that. You're going to actively filter. And when she says you're awesome, you are going to accept that. Anything that fuels this entitlement, you're going to completely accept it. You're going to remember that. And the things that don't, you're going to let them breeze right by you. Okay? Too many guys are just completely focused on the negative. It can ruin your life. It can make you a miserable person. It will ruin your health over time. You'll get high blood pressure. You'll get anxiety. You'll get depression, anger, all this stuff. And that kind of shit is not going to help you if you're trying to become somebody who can actualize their dreams socially, in your career, physically, all that stuff. If you make this hard, you won't be able to stay in it. You won't be able to stay in it long enough to make strides. So find ways to make it easy. One of them is to celebrate all your little victories. Back to the tonality thing for a minute or two more. Okay, so there's 3 types of tonality. Okay, there is trying for rapport. This is all the time, no matter what you're saying or who you're saying it to. You're doing one of these 3. You're trying for rapport, you're neutral, or you're breaking rapport. Okay, and this can be in the content that you're saying, but more so than the content, it's in the tone. So, I'll do a trying for rapport tone first. Can you pass me the water? Can you pass me the water? Hey, how's it going? How's it going? Hey, can you pass me that water? See how it's going up? That was a little more neutral at the end, actually. And people would probably be more compliant if you're more neutral than trying rapport. Neutral is just, hey, can you pass me the water? Can you pass me the water? Can you pass me that water? And then breaking rapport is, hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Oh, what's up, guys? How you doing today? Okay, see how it's going down? My voice tonality is going down now. I'm now breaking rapport. Okay, you do that. You talk like that. If I had somebody to give an example here with me, I could do a better job of showing you, but I think that's enough. Like if I was going to approach, I'd be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, what are you up to tonight? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you look like, I don't know, I just get this feeling that you might be a Taurus. Or your blue eyes look like fucking icicles. They're gonna stab through my heart if I keep looking at them. I have to look away. See, I'm going down that whole time. Okay, that's breaking rapport tonality. You want to use neutral or breaking rapport 90+% of the time when you're talking to girls. Okay, because what that's doing is it's giving you masculine polarity. It's giving a contrast to her energy. It's showing that you are entitled enough to not try to be, hey, will you approve of me? Hey, do you like me? See how that goes up? Do you like me? Right? That's bad. Okay, so you have all this shit in your mind that you've seen in movies and on TV, and it's brainwashed you. It's social conditioning. And trust me, even the shit with Ryan Gosling or Love Actually or whatever movie that was, there's some things he did right and some things he did wrong in that. Okay, but that's a movie. Keep that in mind. You need to go out and test this shit. So I know we went through a shit ton of information. Okay, you embody those things I talked about. You work on them actively. You write down what you learned at the end of the night. If you don't pull, if you're not trying to hook up, you don't succeed at that, then you go home, or the next day if you do, you write it down. What happened that night? This is what happened. This is what I said. This is what she did. This is how I felt. I learned this. Okay, you do that. You collect those. Okay, you can make a fucking library of Alexandria of social dynamics. Make the world your giant lab of experiment, and you become the master of your own reality. You take one more step forward on that journey to becoming a fucking beast. Have a badass night.